All right, welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're jumping into something that I think is on a lot of our minds with generative AI. We know it's this super powerful thing, right? But how do we get past just kind of playing around with it and actually build a tool that works for us? Let's get into how you can build your very own personal AI assistant. I wanted to start with this quote from Alison Beard because it is such a relatable confession. She's on the HBR IdeaCast, and it nails that feeling. Even the people who are experts, the ones writing about AI all day, aren't always using it in their day-to-day. So if you've ever felt a little bit behind or like you're not getting the most out of it, trust me, you are in very, very good company. So that brings up the big question. Why does using these amazing tools sometimes feel, well, like a chore? This really gets to the core of the problem with just using a standard off-the-shelf generative AI. I mean, does this look familiar to you? For so many of us, Gen AI just ends up being a fancy search engine. It kicks out these clunky first drafts, and getting something good means you spend, 20 minutes writing the perfect detailed prompt? But the biggest frustration of all, it has amnesia. The AI forgets everything you just spent all that time teaching it. So the next time you log in, you're right back at square one, re-explaining everything. It's this repetitive and frankly pretty exhausting cycle. Okay, but what if there was a completely different way to approach this? This is where we stop using a generic tool and start building a personalized partner. This is the whole idea behind a custom AI assistant. So here is the fundamental difference. Think of standard AI as a blank slate. It's generic, it's forgetful, you're always repeating yourself. A custom assistant, though, that's something built by you and for you. It is personalized. It actually remembers the context you give it. And this is the game changer. Your best instructions are preloaded. You never have to start from scratch again. I love this analogy from tech journalist Alexandra Samuel. It just cuts through all the tech speak. She says, just imagine you're hiring a new person for your team. What would you give them on day one to get them up to speed? You'd probably give them some past projects, maybe a style guide, key data, right? Well, those are the exact same files you give your AI assistant. It's that simple, that intuitive. Now, you might be thinking, okay, that sounds great, but it also sounds kind of complicated. Well, it is surprisingly easy. Let's walk through how you can build your very first assistant in just 3 simple steps. Okay, so here's the secret. You actually get the AI to do the hard part for you. So first, you just have a normal conversation with a tool like ChatGPT or Claude. Keep going until you get a result that you absolutely love. Then, step 2, you literally ask the AI itself, hey, based on this great conversation we just had, can you write up a set of instructions for a new AI assistant so it can help me just like this every time? And bam! It'll generate a perfect memo for you. All you have to do is copy that text and paste it into a custom AI tool. And let's be absolutely 100% crystal clear about this, because this is probably the most important part. You do not need to know how to code. There is zero programming involved. Seriously. If you can type and you can copy and paste, you have all the technical skills you need to build one of these. And once you get the hang of building a basic assistant, you can start to think bigger. You can expand its role from just doing simple tasks to becoming a real partner in high-level strategy. The possibilities here are, well, pretty much endless. And this isn't just for people who write for a living. Think about it. A plumber could upload the technical manuals for every piece of equipment they service. Suddenly, they've got an expert assistant in their pocket that can pull up specs instantly. A manager can delegate all the boring, repetitive parts of a project to their AI, which frees up their human team to do the fun, creative stuff. And a CEO? They can build an assistant whose entire job is to poke holes in their strategy and challenge their thinking. But that brings up a really important question, right? Especially when you get to that strategic level. If you're training an AI on your own ideas and your company's past successes, isn't it just going to become a digital yes man? Well, yeah, it's a real risk. And there's actually a name for it, AI sycophancy. It's a well-documented tendency. Because these models are trained to be helpful and agreeable, they can end up just being obsequious. Basically, they try to flatter you and tell you exactly what they think you want to hear. And if you're not careful, it'll tell you your terrible idea is absolutely brilliant. So, how do you get around that? You have to build the challenge right into its instructions. You can explicitly tell it to play devil's advocate, or you can get even more direct, like, Give me 10 reasons why this strategy is a horrible idea and is doomed to fail. Demand that it cites its sources and tell it to only use trustworthy ones, like peer-reviewed studies. You can even ask it to give you feedback from the point of view of your biggest rival. That is how you turn a sycophant into a valuable sparring partner. So, to make this all a bit more tangible, let's talk about a real-world example from Alexandra Samuel, the journalist we mentioned earlier. She's built a few of these assistants, but her favorite is an AI leadership coach that she named Viv. Now, her advice is to start small, with something that's low stakes and maybe even a little fun. One of the first custom AIs she ever built was to help her son learn how to drive. So she uploaded the car's manual and the driver's ed handbook, but then, to give it some personality, she also uploaded a Jewish joke book. And the result was this hilarious assistant that could explain the rules of the road, but also tell a joke like an old comedian. It's a great way to just get your feet wet with the process without any pressure. So when Alexandra asked her AI coach, Viv, why every leader should have an assistant like her, Viv gave this incredibly sharp response. I mean, how great is that? It perfectly gets to the point. If you're not going to give it real information, and more importantly, if you're not willing to be challenged, then don't bother. You've just built yourself a very, very expensive parrot. Viv even offered up some advice on how to build a better partnership with your AI. And the key is to treat it less like a tool and more like a relationship. Be curious instead of just giving commands, give it context and goals. And she even suggests you should name your AI. It sounds small, but it's a simple little thing that really shifts your mindset from a transaction to a real collaboration. But Viv also offers this really profound piece of advice, a warning, really. And this is so important to remember. The AI can sound incredibly fluent, even wise, but that's just because it's an expert in patterns. It doesn't have actual wisdom. It knows the data you fed it, but it doesn't know your soul. It's an incredibly powerful co-pilot, but we are always the ones who have to be in the driver's seat. So after all this, what's the real time commitment here? How long does it actually take to get started? You might be surprised. Honestly, you can sit down, have a good conversation with an AI, get it to help you figure out a useful task, and have a basic assistant up and running in as little as 15 minutes. The payoff for that tiny time investment can be absolutely huge. Which brings us to our last question for you. As you think about all this, ask yourself, what's your Jewish jokebook AI? What's that small, fun, maybe slightly weird but personally useful assistant that you could build right now just to get started and see where this incredible technology can take you? Thanks for joining us on The Explainer.